Hey guys, I am Twaun X, and this is the Double Take Podcast. Today, I want to talk about the ugly consequences of casual sex. Now, what actually brought me to this subject is a trending subject with the subject about Steve Smith, the former NFL player that was caught cheating with another man's wife. And this was interesting as it is definitely a reflection of the current culture and sexual temperance of our societies right now. There is a lot of infidelity, a lot of careless sleeping around and flings, and this is one that just came out in the open, and it would definitely be an example for a lot of us. Now, unfortunately, there is an 80% divorce rate, I know, in America. um, Man, look, this does not help that narrative at all. I foresee a lot of negativity coming from this situation. And before I dive into that subject, I want to show you guys the husband of the woman that the guy was cheating with. The husband, okay, so basically the woman was like a band member for the professional football team, and the guy Steve Smith was a professional football player. But the husband, I hate to put it, he's kind of a nobody in the public frame, as far as I know of. Maybe I could be wrong, but he actually confronted Steve Smith. And if you guys hadn't seen this clip, I would love to show it to you guys right now. All right.
Hey, yo, Steve. Hey, yo, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you been fucking my wife, bro. What you gotta say for yourself?
I'm sorry.
You're sorry? You fucking knew she was married. You're not a fucking idiot, man. You're fucking Steve Smith, Steve Smith Sr. What kind of dumb shit was that? Why are you quiet, man? Be a fucking man. Steve. You ain't a fucking man, bro. All that shit you do on fucking TV, all that shit talking you do to other people. Now someone's got you on the fucking phone, you can't even fucking man up. Hey, yo, Steve.
All right. And there you have it, folks. Um, Real interesting, man. If you actually seen this guy, the football player looks like LL Cool J on steroids. He's definitely a man. So let's go ahead and make sure we correct that narrative because he looks like somebody that was picking up people by their ankles and shaking them upside down for their lunch money. As big as this guy is, so I would definitely not try him physically if I was that husband. But yeah, the guy, man, I really feel sorry for that husband. I know it must be heartbreaking. Um, Unfortunately, this is very common. He was just caught, and a lot of guys and a lot of women are doing this. And you notice whenever the husband called him, I will give Steve Smith credit for this. He did not. He said he was sorry. He actually apologized, man. I mean, that still takes a lot within itself, but it means nothing to the husband in real time. But he did have enough sense. I'm not gonna say class because it was unclassy for what he did, but he had enough sense to do that, and he had enough sense to actually be quiet. I mean, if you don't have anything nice to say, then it's probably best to be quiet. And he actually ended the phone call as he let the guy get his roar out, which probably would have been worse had it been anyone else. There would have probably been threats and all types of swearing. So that was an interesting dynamic. Now, what I wanted to build up to off of that is the fact that these type of encounters has left us in the situation that we are right now currently, definitely in American society. There are a lot of fatherless children and a lot of single mothers. And I believe that a lot of it comes from casual sex. I mean, we find people that we find attractive and we don't expect to get into a situationship with this person. And the sex and it leads to one thing, maybe the protection breaks, or you just choose to not use it, whatever your prerogative is. um Leads up to children, right? And it leads up to children, and the children are usually despised and often ignored or just looked over in these circumstances, as the mother is now usually has to begin searching for another counterpart. And as far as with the Steve Smith Senior situation, man, you guys actually know that he was married and he had 4 children. And if he's been doing this and his wife has already had an inkling, she's probably had one foot in the door and one foot out. This is probably going to be her payday. That's what I would have to say about that. Unfortunately, he got caught slipping on this one, and he slipped up, and you're gonna have to pay. You got to pay the taxes, man, whenever you ain't playing the game correctly. And he was not playing the game correctly, as he did get caught up, and he is a very wealthy person, and most women in these situations would want to take the bag and dash. So I can see her doing the dash, guys. Can you see her doing the dash? I definitely see her doing the dash and the money dance, and maybe even the classic Birdman hand rub, right? So, with that being said, what I wanted to lead up to is that even if, say, for instance, these two were in a situation and it led up to them having a kid, because a lot of people do not use protection during sex these days. We're adults, we can talk about this. And I don't believe he would want to be with that lady. Maybe he would in that situation, but and based on normal circumstances, a lot of people do not end up wanting to be with the person. That's based on the divorce rates and everything that we see across our societies. And it usually leads to single mothers. And these single mothers, unfortunately, usually start to despise and neglect the children from that initial encounter as they are searching for other mates and trying to entertain them. Which leads me up to my next story about a woman that they are calling the Michigan mom from Pontiac, Michigan. And she had children, and for whatever reason, she decided to start neglecting and do the minimal amount to take care of her kids. And she was sending them DoorDash and Uber Eats for like 4 or 5 years and not even going to go check on the kids, right? So what happened is, you had the landlord. They went to knock on the door because she was behind on her rent that month or something, and noticed the kids, and there was a disgusting smell coming from the home. And it's really a sad scenario of kids being abandoned by their mothers. And
It's the 50-year ever seal.
I really hate this scenario. I really hate this scenario, that it happened that way. Um, but with encounters such as the whole Steve Smith scenario, and he was just rich, but you know that a lot of people, and you know that you're probably doing it, end up in scenarios where there's a woman who is not dealing with a rich guy or whatever, and they're dealing with a cute guy or a street guy or a guy that has money. He just chooses not to share. and then they're left to fend for themselves for themselves, and they never really went into that relationship with the guy trying to build anything in the first place. So children really shouldn't even be in the equation, but for whatever reason they decide to neglect their children, and the children end up in these type of situations. So I really want to show you guys a news clip about what is going on with this, and so that you can get a better understanding of where I'm going with this subject today.
The investigation continues into Kelly Bryant, the woman accused. The investigation continues into Kelly Bryant, the woman accused of abandoning her children for years. In the meantime, crews have started the long process of cleaning out that townhome that those children were in. CBS News Detroit's Heath Kalb is in Pontiac asking neighbors about this case and the cleanup ahead.
Well, I spoke to some of the people who were tasked with cleaning out this townhome behind me, and they told me they've never seen anything like it before.
There was feces
Everywhere.
I mean, yeah, everywhere on the walls, wiped on the walls. The toilet was like filled up this much.
Cleaners spent all day Friday inside of the townhome on Lydia Lane in Pontiac, where the Oakland County Sheriff's Office says 3 children spent almost every single second inside of for over 4 years while they were abandoned from their mother. And the condition the residence was in is what Sheriff Michael Bouchard describes as deplorable.
I never seen nothing like this before. You know, how could someone do something to kids like that? Treat them just like a dog, you know, it's just terrible.
I spoke to a woman who lives about 10 doors down in the same complex, who told me she's still in shock, and that after
There you have it. Um, Yeah, and before, a lot of you young ladies, especially young ladies, because a lot of older ones are trifling too. Before you get to pointing your fingers, think about your life, because she just got caught. It's a lot of y'all that are doing things like this, and I've seen it myself. You want to be running off with the guy. You want to run off with the guy, and you forget about the kids from the last guy that everybody told you not to be with, the one that everybody told you not to have a child with. So now the child doesn't have a father. He's in the world, or she's in the world, looking for that male counterpart or male figure or example. And you keep introducing these new guys, and then it gets to a point where they start getting older, where they're not cute anymore, and then you just want to kind of put them off to the side while you can still have your fun, but in your mind you're rationalizing that you're doing right by this child, which leads up to situations like these, because this is not the only situation. I'm in Houston, Texas, and I can definitely, we had a scenario a couple of years ago where there was another lady that was leaving the kids and running off with her little friend or whatever, and one of the kids actually came up dead, and she is now in jail where she belongs. And I hope this woman goes to jail. There's a place for everybody, and those niggas, excuse my French, cannot come and have a conjugal visit with you in there. I really hope you have some time to self reflect and consider what you put these kids through. From the stories on the news and the neighbors, it was repugnant. You deserve everything that you get. And I believe that they gave her a $250 million bail, which is basically overkill, because the average person probably could not make $1 million bail without putting up any type of real estate or valuable properties. Now, this makes me want to jump into my next subject, which is the whole Donald Trump food stamp situation. You see where I'm going with this, guys? I mean, I have a point. There's a method to the madness. And the thing is that these are the women that are advocating for these food stamps. These food stamps, this government assistance. You want to go lay up with brother man, and then you want the other man to take care of the bill. And I'm really speaking to foundational Black American women, because I can speak to my people. And you want to go mess with Jody down the street, but then you want white daddy to pay for the bill, and not just white daddy, because white daddy's the face of, you want me to pay for the bill, because I go to work and everything is getting taken out of my check, and every time I go buy something, I'm getting taxed. So I'm actually pro that, because I believe that food stamps and not Medicaid. I'm for Medicaid and child care, but food stamps and some of those other programs have been a hindrance to the foundational Black American community in particular because we just stopped growing and got complacent. Well, some of us, there's a lot of us that grew into brilliance, but a lot of us got complacent and we have plans where I'm going to speak about our women now, where they can go and mess around and dot around and be with anybody they want to, and then at the end of the day, they're going to get benefits in the form of food stamps, which is free food, and housing, which is a free place to live because they lay down with a random Tom or Joe and had a child. That's not fair to us, and that's not fair to me. So I'm not necessarily an advocate of Donald Trump, but I am an advocate for that policy. I do not agree with the Medicaid part of it, but hopefully that can be worked out as he has made some decisions that I cannot agree with. And I will let you guys hear a quick take of this.
Introducing the Filter Sorb Whole House Water.
President Trump has endorsed a House budget plan. President Trump has endorsed a House budget plan that would make sweeping cuts to Medicaid. Under the proposed budget bill, roughly $880 billion would be cut from Medicaid, and $230 billion would be cut from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as food stamps. The president's endorsement on social media came just hours after he said he would not touch funding for programs like Medicaid, which provides health insurance for Americans with limited income.
Now, there you have it. I believe that this is a consequence of this casual sex because it's getting to a point where nobody really cares about what anybody else is sleeping with. But when it gets to the point where everybody else has to pay the bill, and then we're people like me that are actually working, watching you go on vacation, dotting around and all this stuff that you guys be doing, man, that leaves a bad taste in our mouth. And then you're the ones that's whining at the end of the day about how this and this and that happened, and somebody needs to help you. Well, I believe that you're going to have to help yourself. I know that it seems a little cold, but vegetables are served cold and they're very good for you. A lot of people prefer to look over the vegetables and choose the meat and the tasty portions of the meal. And I'm a vegetable guy. I mean, sometimes you're not going to like the way it tastes, but it may be the best thing that's for you. So, right now, this may not sound correct, and I am for you. This is why I am totally with you being all that you can be and not deluding yourself and your ambitions and your future by playing around and putting yourself in positions where you have to be dependent upon the government because you chose a terrible decision in mating. And guys, this goes for you too, as Stephen Smith is about to get whopped. When I say whopped, did you hear the whop? Yeah, he's about to get whopped, and it's like, why? That's the root word of why. You had no reason to be doing that. You was cool. You would have probably done better even paying a harlot or a prostitute or something, and keeping that stuff away from your home instead of playing relationship games at this point in your life with everything that you have to lose. So that's going to be my take on that, guys. Um, look out for the casual sex, man, because the consequences that can come along with it. Um, we're all grown and we're all adults, so man, I mean, I would say be strategic in how you do what you do, but make sure you have a goal, and be dating purposely and dating with a purpose all the way and not having those weak moments of lust because that's what opens Pandora's box and leads us into these types of situations. All right. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts, comments, and opinions in the comment section on this subject. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video. I am Twaun X. This is the Double Take Podcast, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks.